But, you know, we can't all be Stuart Lee, can we? We can aspire to be Stuart Lee. We can hope that one day maybe we can become Lee-like.
What's up, YouTube?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's good. What's up, YouTube? Hello. So I'm back again, part 4. I think this is going to be a 5-parter because it's quite long. I did think that I promised at the beginning to explain why I cut the song out. There's a song at the beginning and it goes, I'm an arsehole, I'm an arsehole. And I cut that out. I think it's better without it personally. And I think the reason it's there is for American audiences who are a little bit less astute than British audiences, I would say. If I was developing this show, I wouldn't have put a song at the beginning. I mean, this character's a bit like Stuart Lee in that, you know, he's not being himself, he's sort of playing an arsehole. But I don't think you need to have a song saying, I'm an arsehole. But obviously, you know, US audiences, they're used to having things spoon-fed to them. So there you go. Sorry for insulting all you American audiences. But I'm sure that if you're watching this, you're not one of those US citizens that are stupid. You're one of the clever ones, of course. Anyway, I think I got away with that. Right, let's dive straight back in. I'm not gonna bang on too much. Do like, subscribe, and hit the notifications button and all that stuff. Thank you if you have subscribed recently. It's very nice of you. Thank you to all the likes and comments I get. They are mainly positive. This channel is not making me any money. It may never make me any money. And but, you know, I'm retired. I don't have to work anymore. And this is a wonderful hobby. I've got about 800 subscribers at the moment. And I mean, even when I get to 1,000, I would hardly be making any money at all. So it's not really about the money. I'm just going to keep going. I've been going for about 5 years. And thank you if you've supported me. It's very much appreciated. And thank you for all your nice comments. I do get a few bad ones. I got one here. Where is it? Here we are. It's not Blind Tube Mate ruined it, mate. That was one. But this one, yeah, this guy Nick Turner, thank you, Nick. He said about my reaction to Big Train Hotcakes, I love this sketch, but I refuse to watch someone else watching it. I know how funny it is. I know how funny it is. This is part of YouTube's piss poor side. So thanks for that. Right, let's dive right in to the next bit of No Cure for Cancer. I've forgotten to put my headphones on again. Maybe this is why I don't have many subscribers, because I'm basically shit at doing YouTube, but never mind. So let's dive straight in to this. I've already done that.
You will eat the meat, folks, because this country was founded on 2 things, meat and war. You eat enough fucking meat, you want to kill somebody. That's the way it works. That was the ultimate American dream for me during that Persian Gulf War. I was sitting in my living room naked with a can of Budweiser and a 3-inch steak watching the war live on TV. I had a 6-foot erection with a giant cheeseburger on the end of it. I ate so much meat during the war, by the time it was over 3 weeks later, I was like, no, we need to keep fighting. Make a couple of stops on our way home from the Persian Gulf. First stop, Vietnam. Surprised the fuck out of those people, huh? You make a movie? Not this time, pal. Second stop, not Iraq, not Iran, not Russia. I'll tell you where. You know where? Canada. I don't trust those people, okay? They're too nice and they're too quiet and they live right above America. I think if you live in Buffalo, right in the Canadian border, and you listen real close late at night, you can hear those Canadians up there sharpening the rice gates, getting ready to come down and take our fucking cheese. I don't trust any country with that many French-speaking people, okay? Because in Montreal, in the French-speaking quarter, they treat Americans like shit. You know why? Because years ago, they gave us the croissant. Le croissant. And what did we do? We turned it into a croissant sandwich. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You got any pate? We'd like some of that, too. Some chicken liver pate would be very nice. I don't pronounce it pate. I'm not going to pronounce...
Can I just say something? Americans don't like French words. The Frenchicization of words, or actually just they are just French, and we pronounce them as French. Pâté, for instance. Why do they say herb? That really annoys me. It's herb. It's a herb. It's not an herb. Everything else is bloody... The French is taken out of it, but as soon as it's herb, it's herb. So stop that, please.
That's a little faggly, squiggly mark over the E, okay? I'm an American, I pay my taxes. It's pate as far as I'm concerned. It's like that singer, Sade. Well, my name is spelled Sade, but I pronounce it Sade. Great, my name's Dennis. I'm gonna pronounce it Teflin, okay? They can all be fucking French. Pronounce your name the way it's spelled. And then you can suck on my pinnet, okay? I don't have enough problems in my life worrying about cancer and tumors and war and everything else. I have to walk into a coffee shop in the middle of Manhattan every morning and go, yeah, give me a cup of coffee and then give me one of those, what do I say? Give me a fucking donut, okay, pal? Give me a donut with chocolate icing on top and nothing inside. I don't trust people who put shit inside a fucking donut, okay? Well, it's only hot blueberry sauce. It could be hot French semen for all I know, pal. I want a donut. France, country that made Jerry Lewis famous, for Christ's sake. France. What's your name? Jean-Paul. Where do you live? Wow, I'm really out of control in this French thing, aren't I? Holy shit. Wow. There was a second there where I almost left the building and took Jerry Lewis hostage. How do you say help in French? Help me, I have a big French monkey in my back. Get him off me! Whew. I don't know. Personally, I think Mama Cass said it best when she said, all the leaves are Monday.
I'm laughing, but I don't know who Mama Cass is.
I'll tell you something. It's tough to drink and smoke nowadays. It is. It's completely out of fashion. You all know that. You're not supposed to be a macho guy anymore. You're not supposed to smoke or drink or eat meat or any of that stuff. It's very hard to be a macho guy. Everybody wants to be a macho guy. All the presidential candidates want to be macho. You haven't had a macho president since FDR. There was a tough guy. There was a guy in a wheelchair from polio, smoked 3.5 packs a day in public. What a guy, huh? We have nothing to fear but fear itself. Yeah! And, you know, staircases, you know. Staircases, soccer, dancing, and fear. Then we're home free, I'm pretty sure. No, it's tough. It's tough for guys, you know, right now. Because in spite of Iron John and Fire in the Belly and the whole men's movement, it's tough to be a guy now because you've got to balance that macho thing. You're supposed to have all the other elements in place and the macho thing's in the background. Just a little bit of macho, you know? That's the way it's because we're supposed to be involved in equal rights. We've had like 25, 30 years to get used to the idea of being sensitive guys and to help women out with their equal rights. We haven't done a goddamn thing, have we, guys? No. We just sit around and wait for them to get paid the same amount of money as us, but we don't do a goddamn thing about it, do we? But I think we should get credit for the little bit of progress that we made. Maybe just a smidgen. Come on. 15, 20 years ago, we didn't care if women had orgasms. We couldn't have cared less. Now, you're gonna have one if it takes us 4 fucking days, man. We don't care how long we have to be down there. Honey, did you come yet? No, let me get my toolbox. Hang on a second. Nope. This is a threat to my masculinity, goddammit. You must come. It's supposed to be about tenderness. We've turned it into a performance sport, haven't we, guys? Honey, did you come? You did. I'm the winner of the orgasm cup. She came. She came. Just so we can walk into work the next day and brag to the other guys. That day was unbelievable, man. My wife must have come 15 times. Look at my jaw. It's frozen, man. It's unbelievable. Sad. And it's very difficult as a guy to learn how to cry, you know? It's one of those very tough things. The only time we could like to cry is like when a famous sports guy retires, you know? We get one tear and one eye just kind of wells up. That's the only time it's okay. Even your friends go, it's all right. It's just a guy retiring. It's not a movie or anything. He's okay. He's not wearing a dress or a bra. He's fine. It's a sports guy. You know, that's a genetic thing. I think that's so deep in men, in the DNA, that crying thing, because we know at moments when we're supposed to cry, we just can't bring it out of ourselves, can we? We're just kind of like, oh, I'm gonna cry. God damn it, I can't cry. My balls are too goddamn big. I guess you know? It's very difficult. I'll give you an example. I have a son who's 2.5 years old now. And he was born, thank you, applause for my son. He was born 3 months premature. Dangerously premature. He was just under 2 pounds when he was born. He was this big. He was in intensive care for 5 months. Now, the whole time he was in the hospital, every day I went to that hospital and I sat by the bed and I prayed, please, God, let him get better. Please, let him get better. Please, let him get better. Please, please, please. He got better gradually, slowly. At the end of the 5 months, we brought him home. He was home for a couple of weeks. We take him back for his big checkup. The doctor looks him over. He goes, he's A-okay. He's gonna be fine. And as soon as I heard those words, the macho button snapped back onto my head and I was like, oh! He's gonna be fine because my semen is so strong. That's why, yeah. Sure, my wife gets pregnant on Tuesday. We have a baby on Thursday, for Christ's sake. I jerk off. There's a kid there in the morning. You kidding me? Sad, sad, sad. And I know I get it from my dad. I think most men get their behavior patterns from the dad. My dad was a great guy, you know? Irish immigrant, came over right after World War II. Real Ted Williams, John Wayne kind of a guy, you know? Real macho guy. He was an auto mechanic for 35 years, but he could do any job. He was a man's man. He had tools all over the basement. He could do electronics and carpentry. He was always building shit around the house. We started out with a 2-room apartment. We ended up with 18 rooms straight up into the sky. And paneling in every room. What is it about Irish immigrants and paneling? Does anybody know? We had paneling on the ceiling, on the floor. My mother had a dress made out of paneling. It's like they get off the boat at Ellis Island. Forget about that freedom of speech. All we want is that goddamn paneling. That's what we want. He was always working. I remember one time, my brother's 10th birthday, my brother John, who's 3 years older than me. His real name's John. We call him Kiwi. That's his nickname, because Kiwi became sort of the label after when he was about 15. He took a hit of acid and ate a can of Kiwi shoe polish. Yeah. And he's one of the brighter guys in the neighborhood, so you get some idea of the educational level. We weren't readers, you know what I'm saying? We didn't even bother to read the labels on the shoe polish. We just ate it, you know? It was a funny tasting fucking brownie, I'll tell you that much right now. So it was my brother's 10th birthday party. And we were in the kitchen, me and my brother, my mom, birthday hats, chocolate cake, singing the birthday song, happy birthday to you, happy birthday. My dad is in the living room putting up paneling for the 10 minutes we're not in there, you know? So I got 10 minutes, I'll do the whole room. And he's working with a circular saw. So this is the sound effect we hear come wafting down the hallway during the birthday party. And my dad comes waltzing into the kitchen with his thumb hanging off at the phone. And this is what he says. He goes, we got any electrical tape? I gotta tape this baby up here. My mother goes, yeah, I'm gonna drive you to the hospital. He would not let my mother drive him to the hospital. That was too much of a threat to his masculinity to be seen in a car driven by a woman. So he taped up the thumb with black electrical tape and drove himself minus one thumb to the hospital. I turned to my brother, I said, hey pal, forget about crying, okay? Crying is over. We're never gonna be able to cry about anything ever, okay? Our father figure is a man who could sever his own head with a chainsaw and he'd staple gun it back on. Fucking head came off. Unbelievable. So, 2 years later, my brother shoots an arrow into my head. I'll explain how this happened. My brother's best friend was this kid, Cliffy DeCourcy, who lived up the block from us, okay? And this one Christmas in the 60s, Cliffy DeCourcy, as a Christmas present from his parents, got a bow and arrow set. Not like a fake, pretend bow and arrow set. A real fucking bow and arrow set, the kind Ted Nugent has, okay? I don't know if you remember this. Back in the 60s, parents gave weapons to kids at Christmas time all the time. We used to get guns that shot plastic bullets, the same kind they use in riots and demonstrations now. Parents were nuts back in the 60s. Here you go, son. Here's a bomb. Take it out and play with it. Go ahead. Here, take some meat with you. Blow up the whole goddamn neighborhood. Merry Christmas to you. So I'm in the alley, in between the house I grew up in and the house next door, just hanging out, being a kid, pretending, playing by myself. And I see my brother and Cliffy appear down the end of the alley with the bow and arrow set. And my brother says to me, "Hey, Dennis! Just stand in front of that garage door. We're gonna play William Tell, all right?" I didn't know who William Tell was. I was just so happy the older guys were playing with me. I got in front of the garage door. I was like, "Okay, yeah, who's William Tell? Is it me? Is it you? Is it Cliffy?" And then my brother takes the luckiest shot in the history of archery. Pulls that bow back one time, and that fucking arrow lands right here in the middle of my head, right? And then my brother and Cliffy made the greatest face in the history of faces. They both made the same face at the same time. They both went like this, like that, and ran away. Remember when you're a kid, you get in trouble, you just run away? Run away! Where? Spain, Europe, run away! So now I make a long march upstairs with the arrow in my head. I'm not crying yet, I'm afraid to cry. Up to the second floor apartment where my parents are drinking Lipton tea and eating fucking scones. And I go, "Dad, Johnny shot an arrow into my head." And my father looks at me like it's the most natural thing in the world. Like there's roving gangs of Indians all over the city. He looks down at me and he goes, "Come here," and he pulls it out. Oh, remember how much it hurt when they pulled it out? No, you don't, I'm the only fucking guy who knows. Me and General Custer are the last two white men to get shot with arrows in this country. He looks down at the gaping hole in my head and goes, "Just put a Band-Aid on it, you'll be fine." My mother goes, "You drive him to the hospital, mister." Cut to the car. I'm on the passenger side, hole in my head, blood trickling between my eyes. I'm not crying, I'm afraid to cry. My dad, pissed off, driving me to the hospital because this is more time taken out of his paneling, you know. There was actually paneling on the side of the car. It was one of those Ford Country Squire station wagons. We're driving, he goes, "Does it hurt?" I go, "Oh, no, Dad, it feels great. But just stabbed me in the neck a few times, for Christ's sake. I'm 8 years old. Could I cry, please?" I go to the hospital. I get 15 stitches and a lollipop. "Oh, thank you very much. That'll fit right in the fucking hole." But the story has a happy ending. As we got home, my brother got the shit beat out of him by my father. That was one of the great beatings of the 60s, man. Forget about Jerry Corey versus Muhammad Ali. My father versus my brother. It was over 15 seconds into the first round. My brother's on the floor, and my dad's going, "How'd you like an arrow shot into your fucking head?" I was like, "All right, that's justice, Dad, yeah. An eye for an eye, an arrow for an arrow, yeah."
Wonderful applause.
I would hope you're applauding the justice on my brother's end and not the arrow in my head. Thank you. Yeah, my dad was just a tough guy, you know? It was just the way he's brought up. Just did not know pain. I went back to visit my dad when I was 27 years old. Now I'm a grown-up guy with my own place. I go back to visit him. They're still living in the same house. He's putting up new paneling over the old paneling. You got to keep up to date, son. That's the thing, you know. And he's using a pump-action nail gun, which were new at that time. I'm talking like it's like a gun, but it shoots nails. And he's talking to me, and he misfires. Shoots a nail right in the middle of his own hand. Ding da! And I'm looking at him like, "Oh my God, this is how he takes it out." He goes, "Oh, excuse me, son." And takes it out with his teeth. Jesus Christ. I'll tell you, I never saw his balls, but they must have been fucking huge, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a hand with these balls, son. I can't get them in my pants. Christ, they're huge. He was unbelievable, man. He smoked 5 packs a day. Even of his own brand. He had, if you asked him for a cigarette, but what do you want, a Marlboro or Salem or a Newport? This is the kind of guy, if he ran out of cigarettes, he'd just smoke a branch off a tree. Give me a branch. Ting, tong. And then, in 1985, my dad went back to Ireland to visit the village he grew up in and his brothers and his sisters who all still lived there. He was standing in a pub in Killarney, screwed a Marlboro into his lips, lit it up, and bang! Was dead before he hit the ground. That'll pop your little macho balloon. When the guy you think is always going to be there, the John Wayne, Ted Williams guy, is dead in a millisecond. And you get a phone call, huh? But that's the best way to go for you, isn't it? I mean, it's hard for the people left behind, but it's the best thing for you. 1 second, you're an Irish immigrant. The next second, you're face to face with God. How you doing, God? You get cigarettes up here? Okay. I think you could use some paneling behind Elvis. It's just my own personal. Because once I got the news, I did the thing I should have known I was going to do. I did the Irish macho guy thing. I got that news on the telephone, and all of a sudden I got that lump in my throat. Like I was about to cry, but I never cried. I just held it in. People must have thought I was a nut at the wake and at the funeral. People at the wake coming up to me, sorry for your troubles. Held it in the whole time. Held that puppy right here. That's what Irish guys do. We hold it in until we blow up. Sometimes you hear about bombs over in London. They're not bombs, they're Irish guys blowing up. It wasn't until I had a kid, after I got married and I had my son, that's when I felt like I was doing this distorted therapy. I was taking all this stuff from my dad and I was filtering it down to my son, and I felt better all of a sudden. And I know that's a cliche, that you change when you get a kid. I also know it's the big fashion thing of the 90s. Here's my kid, he matches my couch. You know. But it's true. After you have a kid, there's a wave that washes over you. It might be 2 days later, it might be 2 weeks later, it might be 2 years later, but there comes a day when you look down into that crib and you go, oh my God, look at this. Look at this cold, sober, empty little vessel waiting to be filled up with ingredients, and it's up to me and my wife. We can fill them up with anything, love or hate or indifference. And that's when I realized, oh my God, now I know why I'm supposed to have a responsibility to the planet, because I want him to have a better life, so that maybe 25 years from now, there'll be a better world for him. I never get involved in stuff. You know, I vote, but I don't get hands-on. And now I realize I have to get hands-on to try to change the planet so that maybe 25 years from now, he can live in a world without war, in a country without color, with clean air to breathe and clean water to drink, so that maybe 25 years from now, he could turn to me and say, you know something, Dad? I really like this place. And I could say, well, son, I did my best. And other times I think, hey, fuck him. I didn't break the planet. It was this way when I found it, all right?
Okay, I'm going to stop there. I think it's a nice point to finish. Very good. Very nice. I do love, it works so well when you're doing comedy and then you take it down to a serious level. And, my hero Stuart Lee does it brilliantly. Not to the as long and to the extent of that, but he does a little bit where he talks about his friends of his who died and they didn't have any last words. That's a fallacy, that people utter their last words on their deathbed. And it all becomes, very, very serious. And then he says, there's no way they could have come out with any last words, not with me holding a pillow over their face. And, he breaks the spell. And, it works very well. I mean, that bit, I think, shows how this, like all stand-up, or all good stand-up, I suppose, is well crafted and rehearsed and learnt. It's all written down and learnt. He did miss a little chance at an ad-lib there, I noticed, which I was slightly disappointed at as a sort of comedy purist. He said something about where his son was born, and then the audience gave him a round of applause. I think Stu would have capitalised on that. But we can't all be Stuart Lee, can we? We can aspire to be Stuart Lee. We can hope that one day maybe we can become Lee-like, but we can never really be Stuart Lee. And that's sad, but I think at least if you've got something to aim for in life, then it gives you a sense of purpose and real sucker, it does something, doesn't it, inside, to worship someone. go nowhere.